Can you imagine a gaming handheld with 64 gigs of RAM and up to 4 terabytes of storage? That's what OneXPlayer has put out with their new OneXFly F1 Pro. This one is a flagship gaming handheld that's aimed to be the alpha wolf leader of handhelds. But since great powers bring great responsibilities, a lot of boxes have to be checked to become the fan favorite. Look at what Valve did with the Steam Deck OLED. By refining the already well-running Steam Deck, they created something that nearly became the handheld of the people. For the people, by the people. So does the OneXFly F1 Pro have what it takes to redefine handheld gaming? Let's start with the build quality of the F1 Pro. The build here is really well thought out. It just feels right in your hands. Rounded edges and that curved back make it comfortable to hold, even if you're gaming for hours. The screen is another thing you'll appreciate. It's sharp and wide. The controls are exactly where you want them to be. The analog sticks are responsive, the D-pad feels sturdy, and the ABXY buttons have that satisfying click. Up top, the shoulder buttons and triggers are easy to use, and the RGB lighting around the sticks is a nice touch. It's subtle but adds personality. There's a vent at the back for cooling, so it doesn't overheat, and all the ports, like USB and audio, are neatly lined up at the bottom. The matte black finish ties it all together. It's simple, clean, and just looks great. When it comes to the Steam Deck OLED, the name might make you think it's all about the screen. And yes, that display is a beauty, but there's more to it than meets the eye. Valve has been listening to what players had to say and has quietly made some changes that really make a difference. The new thumbsticks, for example, feel just right. They've got this deeper dip to them, and they're a solid black now instead of that two-tone design from before. It makes them easier to hold on to, especially if you're someone who's spent time with an Xbox controller. The power button is orange now. It might sound small, but it adds a bit of individuality. It still looks a lot like the original deck, and that's a good thing. It's comfortable, easy to use, and built for longevity in mind. Likewise, it's all about those little improvements adding up. The OneXFly F1 Pro stands out not just for its powerful hardware, but also for the quality of its display. With a 7-inch OLED screen offering up to 800 nits of brightness, it's perfect for HDR content and games with lots of dark or high-contrast visuals. When you'll play at 144 Hz on the F1 Pro, everything will feel instant. The full HD resolution means everything's going to look sharp at 315 pixels per inch. As for color reproduction, it can display 152% of the standard sRGB color space and 112% of the professional DCI-P3 standard. That translates to colors that pop without looking artificial. On top of that, the 800 nit brightness means you can play anywhere, while the 10-point touch system lets you control games with precision. And with a 0.6 millisecond response time, there's nearly zero delay between your actions and what happens on screen. Now, if we compare it to the Steam Deck OLED, there are some big differences. The Steam Deck screen can hit 1000 nits, but it comes with a lower resolution of 1280 by 800 and runs at 90 Hz. The OneXPlayer trades a bit of that brightness for better resolution and a smoother refresh rate. On a smaller screen like this, that higher resolution really matters, especially for more demanding games. And with improved FSR support on both Windows and Linux, it handles those games with ease. But Valve has made some smart changes with the new Steam Deck, and it all starts with the OLED screen. This new display is thinner than the old LCD, which gave their engineers a bit more breathing room inside the device. That extra space allowed them to add a bigger battery, 50 watt-hours instead of the 40 watt-hours in the original. On top of that, there's a new AMD APU inside. It doesn't make the system any more powerful, so your games will run the same, but it's more efficient, using less power and running cooler. The OLED screen helps out too. It's brighter and has a faster refresh rate, but it still uses less energy overall. With all these improvements working together, the new Steam Deck gets 30 to 50% more battery life than the original, which is a pretty significant jump. The OneXFly F1 Pro brings a new level of innovation to handheld gaming. They're the first to use AMD's Strix Point APUs. There are two versions, the Ryzen AI 9 HX370 and the AI 9 365. The main difference between them lies in the GPUs. The HX 370 features the Radeon 890M, which offers more power than the Radeon 880M and the AI 9365. Both GPUs, however, deliver a marked upgrade compared to the previous generation's Radeon 780M. To test its mettle, one netbook benchmarked the F1 Pro against the ROG Ally X, a device powered by AMD's Ryzen Z1 Extreme. When running Black Myth Wukong at 1080p on low settings, the F1 Pro with the AI 9365 averaged 58 FPS at 15 watts, a notable improvement over the Ally X's 50 FPS. Similarly, in Cyberpunk 2077, the F1 Pro reached 43.47 FPS, surpassing the Ally X's 35.07 FPS under identical conditions. These differences became even more pronounced at higher power levels, confirming the F1 Pro's capacity to consistently outperform its competitor. Now it's worth noting that the Ally X is one of the direct rivals of Steam Deck OLED. So how does it stand against the F1 Pro gives us a hint of the probable performance difference between the F1 Pro and Steam Deck OLED, and the benchmark result is a clear indicator that OneXPlayer has taken a step ahead. As we've mentioned before, the Steam Deck OLED's gaming performance is expected to align closely with the original model. We won't dive too deeply into its gaming benchmarks here. In essence, the Steam Deck remains a highly capable handheld gaming PC, especially when users adjust the settings to achieve the best balance between performance and battery efficiency. However, the landscape has shifted since the original release, with numerous competitors like the Asus ROG Ally, Lenovo Legion Go, and various Aya devices entering the market. While the OLED Steam Deck may not measure up to the raw power of some of these Windows-based handhelds, the performance difference is generally minimal, and most of these alternatives come with a much higher price tag. In practice, the Steam Deck stands out for its overall ease of use, thanks to the convenient and intuitive SteamOS interface. That said, accessing desktop mode and managing files does require some Linux know-how. On the hardware side, the OLED version introduces a few noteworthy upgrades, including support for Wi-Fi 6 for significantly faster downloads and improved Bluetooth connectivity thanks to a dedicated radio. When evaluating the display and performance of the OneXFly F1 Pro, it's clear that this device positions itself as a strong contender in the handheld PC market. However, its edge might diminish as competitors with similar internals emerge. While it holds its ground admirably, it does fall short in areas where higher-end options shine, such as Oculink or equivalent eGPU support. Though the inclusion of USB 4 ports is a welcome feature, they don't quite deliver the bandwidth and low latency necessary for a flawless external GPU gaming experience. This means that while the OneXFly F1 Pro can serve as a dockable handheld gaming PC for added power, its performance in this mode might not fully justify the investment at its price point. We didn't mention the memory and storage options for these handhelds in the specs category for some reason. Steam Deck OLED comes in just the 16GB RAM version. You can pick storage of 512 GB or terabytes, which costs $549 and $649 respectively. The OneXFly F1 Pro offers you up to 8 combinations that start with 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. But you have to pay nearly $1,100 for that. That's just the starting price. If you want the 64 gigs of RAM and 4 terabyte version, which is their highest spec, be ready to pay a huge $1,699. This is why we mentioned in the intro that to be the fan favorite, a lot of boxes have to be checked. And the price might be the only reason people will think twice, thrice before getting one. Valve, you did a great job. So which one are you going for? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to get more videos like this.